Okay, thanks for attending this emergency classroom session. We're actually doing a new recording. Usually we do Tuesday classroom sessions. We're going to start Tuesday, Thursday classroom sessions because we're getting a lot of customers that have questions on what to do during this period where they might have to temporarily close down their salon, how to stay in contact with their customers, how to adjust schedules, things like that. So we're going to do a sort of summary workshop today to introduce you, if you're not already using the Cloud Appointment Book, how to work with Shortcuts Marketing, and even a little bit about Social Sorted, which should help you keep track of your customers, stay in contact with them, stay in contact with your staff, adjust your schedules again, and it'll help you moving forwards. So, as with other presentations, we are recording this. We will share it with anybody. So, if you're unable to stick through the whole thing or if you jump in late, don't worry. We are recording this and we will send out the link a little bit later. So, let's actually dig into it. So, this presentation's a little bit longer, almost twice as long as our usual one, because we're going to cover a number of different topics. So, I'm going to try to keep it under an hour. My microphone is on. We are recording. Hopefully, you can hear me. We will take questions at the end. If you have any questions on anything I covered or anything I didn't cover, using the chat box. So on the right side of your screen, if you're in GoToWebinar, you should have a chat or a question bar where you can just type out your questions. So let's begin. So today, we're going to look at the Cloud Appointment Book. What are some of the functions of the Cloud Appointment Book? How to access Shortcuts Marketing, how to send out a message if you need to send out messages right away to your customers, and how to use Social Sorted to maintain contact with those customers. So to get to the cloud, hopefully most of you are already familiar with the Shortcuts console, the online console. This is where you normally set up your online booking settings, where you would go to look at customer reviews, where you would give your staff permission so that they can look at their appointments, or even give them permission so that they can move their appointments around. So that's from the console. In the console, there is a cloud button. That's one of the new buttons there, which takes you to our cloud page. Conversely, you can also link or have a bookmark directly to your cloud website. So if you go to POS, point of sale.shortcutsoftware.com, and you log in with the same username and password that you would use in the Shortcuts console, which should be your email and whatever password you set, it will allow you to log directly into the cloud. Once you're in the cloud, it actually has the same basic functionality of the traditional Shortcuts point of sale. So it is a fully functioning mobile version of the appointment book. So if you're at home, if you're traveling, whatever the case is, you can actually use the cloud to make appointments, search for customers, add notes, do things like that. So the only thing you really need is an internet connection. So if you have a home computer, if you have a tablet, if you just need to start making changes right away, we advise you to bring up the cloud, especially if you can't get to your shortcut system, you can't get to your salon or your spa for various reasons. So we're going to look a little bit at some of the functionality in here. Pardon me. So all of the basic features you would have in your traditional point of sale appointment book is available in the cloud. Not only that, any changes that you make in the cloud will synchronize in real time to your Shortcuts point of sale. So if you make an appointment, if you move an appointment, if you add a new customer, if you put in history notes, all of that also shows up in your regular Shortcuts point of sale. So updating the status of a visit, has the customer arrived? Is the customer a no-show? All of those same triggers also work in the cloud. Updating client cards. So if your salon is still open or when you reopen, If you decide to use the cloud, you can put it on a mobile device or a tablet and have the customers update their client information so that they don't have to give that specifically to a receptionist. And you can also give your staff permission to access the cloud. So if you want to have a little bit more flexibility so that not everything has to go through your front desk, through your receptionist, you can have a tablet that floats between your staff members and they can check customers in and they can update the history notes and they can even upsell products from the tablet. And all of these items, again, will synchronize to the point of sale. So the data syncing is happening in real time. And just about all of the same things that a staff member would normally do on the traditional shortcuts appointment book in the point of sale, they can now do in the cloud. So this is our little slideshow, just to sort of give you an introduction and overview. Hopefully most of the people that are listening to this presentation are already a little bit familiar with the cloud itself. So some of the basics. When you log into the cloud, the first thing you'll notice is that you have an appointment book that's very similar to the point of sale appointment book. At the very top of the screen, you have the staff that's listed. On the left side, you have the hours of the day. At the bottom, you have the ability to advance to turn the pages on your appointment book. And then clicking anywhere there's an opening on your staff schedules allows you to search for a customer, add a new customer, or make an appointment. So on this screen, we're just reminding you that you would go to point of sale, pos.shortcutsoftware.com. You'd log in with your username and password. And then if you go to the appointment book, and we'll skip ahead here. So you can search for customers. You can add new customers. There we are. So I'm just jumping ahead a little bit. So all of the same functionality. You can make appointments longer or shorter, just as you could on the regular appointment book. You can move them around. You can mark them as arrived, cancel them, all of that same functionality. And it's just a button press. So not only can you move ahead and backwards one day at a time, 1 week at a time, the same calendar function works. Up at the top of the screen, it'll actually show you what's the productivity, what are the appointments like for your staff members. So in this case, James, about 31% of his day is already booked. Anna has 10%, Lucy has 20% of her day booked. So you can see who has some openings and who can always need a little bit more work there. So we're actually going to get out of here for a moment, and we're going to go to the actual cloud page itself. So in this case, we have a couple of appointments. And to make an appointment, let's say we're going to make an appointment for Angel at 10 o'clock. I'll click on her opening, just as I would in the regular shortcuts. I can search for any customer that I have, or I can start to enter a new customer. So David wants to make an appointment. I can update his information at the bottom of the screen. I can press next and tell shortcuts, what is David coming in for? Maybe he's coming in for a barber service. And we'll go next. And at the bottom, shortcuts ask you, did this customer request Angel? Yes or no? And I'll say, yes, he did. Do I want to put any sort of tag with it? Yes, this was a request tag, or this was a new client, or this was a salon regular. So remember, tags help you keep track of what types of customers you have. So once I press done, then this appointment is made. Now, for your staff, if you have appointments that have been made weeks in advance, and unfortunately, you're in the situation where you have to close temporarily, whether it's a week or a few weeks. You need to get in contact with your customers. You need to move their appointments around. So in that eventuality, you can click on an existing customer and go to the details of that client, and Shortcuts will let you or will show you the information that they have, of course, depending on the level of permission you have. And if you're listening in, chances are you're an owner, you're a manager, you have full permission. You can go to all their client cards. So this will give you the ability to access their info and, of course, contact the client and try to schedule for a future appointment. Now, the other thing you can do from here is if you need to mark out your staff, maybe your staff is going to be unavailable for a few days, you can block out their day, not with an appointment, but just like in the point of sale, with a task. So this time the task button actually appears at the bottom. So when I select an opening, I'll choose Kent starting at 9 o'clock, and I'll create a task for him. So I have all of the existing tags that I normally have in my Shortcuts point of sale. So I'm going to say this is an event and done. So normally the event is 15 minutes or 30 minutes, but I can click on that event, and just like in the point of sale, I can instead say, unfortunately, Kent is not available today because I'm marking him out. I can also move the task. So I can move it to another employee instead. So you can actually start to mark out tasks for your staff members and make sure that nobody tries to book them online. And this is in the event that you cannot get to your salon, you cannot get to your barbershop or your spa and make your regular changes to their schedule. Now, we are working on a way to update schedules in the cloud. That function is not available just yet. It will be rolled out in the near future. But for the time being, if you need to block somebody out, go ahead and block them out with a task. And of course, you can mark it for tomorrow or whatever day you need it. So tasks and appointments can always be moved, can always be managed, can always be created. And at the very top of the screen, again, selecting an employee allows you to just filter out certain people. So if I double click on Billy, I get to see what capabilities she has. Okay. So this is a fast and functional way to start making changes to your appointment book when you're working remotely, especially in the case of an emergency. Now, if you need to give permission for your staff so that they can start moving appointments around, contacting their customers, rescheduling for 2 or 3 weeks from now, then at the very top of the screen, you can go to Menu, Employees and Schedules, and we can choose Employees. And on the left side of the screen, you can tell Shortcuts who should have permissions and what level they should be at. So Billy is one of my stylists, and I choose Billy should have the ability to contact her customers, to move appointments around, things like that. So once I chose Billy, on the bottom of the screen, I can choose Roles and Login. And Shortcuts will ask me, should Billy have permission, yes or no? And what is Billy's email? Billy's email will become her username. So I can say it's billy@shortcuts.net. And this way, so that the staff member doesn't forget, their username and their email should always be the same thing. And then below, what level of permission should Billy have? If I mark her as an employee, then Billy can actually log into the cloud on her mobile device or her home computer. And then once she's in, she can contact the client, she can move an appointment, she can make new appointments, and she can mark tasks. So that's with the employee permission. So if I were to actually change the slider to give Billy login access, yes, and press done, Billy is going to get an email and it will say, this is your login for the cloud. This is your username. This is your password. The password is randomly generated. Billy can change it once she logs in. And then once she's in the system, she now has the ability to access the cloud remotely. You do actually have the ability to customize the permissions. So if you decide my staff should or shouldn't have certain abilities, for the employee role, at the very top of the screen, if I return to the menu button and go to General Settings, I can go to my existing roles. In the cloud, there are two default levels of roles. You're either an employee or a site manager. But let's say you decide to create a completely new role, something that you're going to call assistant manager or even receptionist. And those permissions should be slightly different from employee and site manager. At the bottom of the screen, you can press new and create a custom role. So I can call this assistant manager. And then I can tell Shortcuts which staff member should have this permission. And if I go to permissions, this is where I can spell out what does the assistant manager have permission to do. Can the assistant manager look at appointments, create appointments, update appointments, delete appointments? Yes or no? Should the assistant manager have the ability to configure settings? Usually, you don't want staff or anybody else to have the ability to change your configuration settings because they would have the ability to set up security, change details, and of course, lock people out. And I assume you don't want to be locked out yourself. But other settings, you can give them permission to. Should they be able to look up customer records? Should they be able to look at contact details? Or should they only be able to see first name, last name, and perhaps the last four digits of a phone number? So once you choose all of those specific permissions that this person should have or this level should have, once you press done, then you've created a brand new role, Assistant Manager. And now, if you return back to your employees, and let's say Billy should not be an employee level, instead, she should have assistant manager permission. Now I can give her a new permission level. So this is how you give your staff the ability to access the cloud. And it's particularly important these days because they have to now start contacting customers and scheduling appointments for the future. Okay. So I hope this starts to get everybody up to speed on this. We'll go back to the current day. So this is something you can do right away. Access the cloud, make appointments, contact your customers, give your staff permission. The other thing that you can do from the cloud is if you need to start emailing customers, let them know you're having a temporary closure, you're going to be closed for a week or two, and you just need to let everybody know, then you want to use Shortcuts Marketing. Now, in your Shortcuts point of sale system, you should already have your permission set. So who is set to receive emails, who has opted in, things like that. So those can always be configured. And if you need details on how to access this, we do have a previous classroom session, the basic class on Shortcuts Marketing. I believe that was 2 weeks back. If you visit our YouTube channel at Shortcuts USA and you just look at our videos, look for the classroom session on Shortcuts Marketing Basics. And we talk about how to opt people in, how to update the client card so that you choose which options the customer should have, the receptionist should see. And if you're working on promotions, if you're working on discounts, how does all of that work? So we need to create a campaign. Maybe it's not necessarily a promotion, you're letting them know of a temporary closure. So again, you would go to the cloud. You would make sure that you would configure all of your social media links, your business graphics, things like that in the console first, so that when you send out the email, all of the appropriate links show up on the campaign itself. And again, I go a little bit slower. I explain all of these details in the basic class. So I'm not going to talk about it just right now. So then accessing the actual marketing, you would return to the cloud and you would choose what type of campaign you're going to send out. It's either a targeted campaign to very specific customers or a general message to everybody. And is this message a text, an SMS, or an email? So then you start to customize your campaign. And I'm going to get out of the presentation and actually go into the cloud and show you how this works. So we're going to skip ahead a little bit. And we're going to go back to the cloud. So again, start contacting clients, start marking people out. But at the very top of the screen, you need to stay in contact with your customers. So we're going to the marketing button. And on the left side of the screen, everything past the targeted campaign. So from appointment acknowledgement all the way down to we miss you. These are automated campaigns. So if you decide that whenever a customer makes an appointment, whether they make the appointment online or in person, they should get an email or a text. So this is where you configure those. But we're not going to do that. Instead, we're going to message all clients. So that's the first option. So when I choose that, Shortcuts will ask me, is this going to be an email I'm setting up or a text message I'm setting up? In this case, an email. Do I want to give this campaign a particular title? So yes, I'll call this March Emergency. And when do I want to send it? So you would tell Shortcuts, what's the time, what's the day? So in this case, the most popular time to actually send messages are between 9 and 10 o'clock in the morning. So I'll say 10 a.m. and this message is going out today. In the message, do I want to show my company logo? Do I want to put an image in there? Yes or no? By default, the company logo that I have in the console, which is usually the same logo that you have in online booking, is what appears on the email. And then what is the subject? So I'll say an important message from Angel Salon. So then on the body, I would put in the particulars of this campaign. Due to circumstances beyond our control, we will be closing for 2 weeks. And then you can continue with the message. Now, under that message, most of our templates have some sort of offer. So these emails were designed to be more promotional in nature. If you're not sending a coupon, like a birthday coupon or a special event coupon, on the right side, there is an X icon. We can eliminate that row. Also, if we don't necessarily want customers clicking book now and trying to book the next available appointment, we can remove that link as well. Because we're just sending information right now. At the very bottom of the screen, I can choose to preview this message. And if I do that, Shortcuts Marketing will actually give me a snapshot of what the email looks like. So it will include the company logo. My subject will be an important message from Angel Salon. And then the body of the text will be right there. Any of the social media links that I had added in the console will appear at the bottom of the preview and will appear in the actual campaign itself. If I want to see what this message looks like on my phone, on my home computer, I can press Send Test, put in my email, and then take a look at it on my computer or my phone and see how it actually appears. If I'm happy with my test, if I'm happy with my email, then if I press the activate button on the bottom right corner, then at 10 o'clock this morning, all of my clients that have opted into email will get a copy of this message. So hopefully you've already contacted your clients. Hopefully you have a message in mind, and there are, of course, messages that you've probably received that you can edit and use for your own salon or spa. So start to compose your messages, see about going to the appointment book, moving appointments, canceling appointments, and contacting your clients, because information is very important in this current age, in this current era. So make sure that you start to take advantage of the cloud right away. And again, you do not have to be on your Shortcuts point of sale to use all of these features. That's what the cloud represents. Make these changes from home, make these changes from a safe space. Give permission to your staff if you know that your staff needs to contact their preferred clients so that they can contact them, so that they can look up their information and make changes as they need to. And so that you can also start marking out their days so that customers don't try to block them out for an appointment. So we already did our live demo. So you are now a little bit more familiar with accessing the cloud, using the appointment book functions, and even accessing marketing to send out a message. So I mentioned a moment ago that information is crucial at this time. You need to stay in contact with your customers, not just to let them know about temporary closures, but what are the steps that they can do in the interim. And then, of course, you're going to have a plan in place for when you reopen to try to get these customers to return, to let them know everything is safe and moving forwards. So this takes us to what Shortcuts has that's called, oh, pardon, before I talk about that. So all of the same functions that you have for email, if you have text marketing enabled through Shortcuts, you can send a text instead. So if you just want to send a quick text message, we're closed from this part until the 2nd or 3rd of April, whatever it is, you can also compose a text. And again, we covered all of these in detail 2 classroom sessions ago. So if you're on our Shortcuts USA YouTube page, if you're looking at the videos, you want to look for the classroom session on Shortcuts Marketing Basics. So we're not going to talk about tracking your progress. This would be used more for traditional email campaigns, your happy birthday campaigns, your we miss yous, things like that. So social sorting. Shortcuts has started a new service, a new feature called Social Sorted. And this is probably the best way to keep your customers engaged, to stay in contact with them on all of your social media platforms. So we actually have a staff that's collating information, that's a staff that works with professional photographers that are taking images that you can use on your social media campaigns, that have articles, that have information that you can post on your social media pages. So if you have Twitter, if you have Instagram, and you want to make sure that you stay in contact with your clients, you let them know what's happening, what they can do in the interim. Are there products that you can recommend that they should be using during this time while they're out of the salon or out of the barber shop? Use Social Sorted. So we're actually offering a free sign up for that. So the first month is actually free. So if you want to stay in contact with your customers, not just with email, but especially with social media, which is more and more important these days, then we absolutely advise you should sign up with Social Sorted. We'll get you the information you need, whether you're a spa, a salon, or a barbershop. And it isn't just information that you share with customers, but also a way to plan how your business is going to be affected and how you're going to move forward from this temporary closure. So we're actually going to have what's called an action plan for you. So you're going to see and assess yourself. How are you currently running your business? How are you currently running your media campaign? How are you staying in contact with your clients? How are you staying in contact with your staff? What's the important information that you need to be sharing? And then moving forwards to make sure that you're generating new business, that you're recapturing lost clients. What do you need to do? So it does also include an action plan specifically for the owners, specifically for the managers, to sort of help them build and help them rebuild. So if you're interested in this, if you're interested in keeping in contact with your clients, do check out Social Sorted at socialsorted.net. Sign up. Again, the first month is free, and stay engaged. Keep in contact with your customers, because once the closures have ended, we want to make sure that they understand it's safe to come back in. We're ready for your business, and of course, start rebuilding that process. So that was a short, much shorter than I anticipated, because we needed to get the basics out there. You should now know how to access the cloud appointment book. And I do notice that a couple of people joined this presentation a little bit later. We did record this entire presentation, and we will be emailing this link out to everybody that signed up. So if you joined early, or I'm sorry, if you joined late or dropped out early, we will send you the link, and then you can review the video. So you should know how to access the cloud appointment book. You should realize that all of the same functionality that you have in your regular shortcuts point of sale are available in the cloud appointment book. You should know about accessing shortcuts marketing. If you need to contact your clients, the fastest, easiest way to send a message or a text is through shortcuts marketing. And if you're interested in using social media to stay engaged with your clients, to keep them informed, to keep them up to date, then consider Social Sorted. So now we're going to open up the floor. So if you're not using the cloud, we can actually enable the cloud for you. Hopefully you have a relatively new version of shortcuts that you're working with. And if not, we can see if we can update you. Now remember, if you're running an ancient version of Windows, chances are that has to be upgraded first. But if you're on a relatively new system, you're not using the cloud, let us know. We can enable these features for you. And most of these features should be free for you. So contact our customer care team and we will help you get set up. But if you have any questions, now's your chance to type in a question on your chat box. So on the right side, if you have the question bar open or the chat bar open, go ahead and put in a message. And I'll give you a moment. And if you think of anything after the fact, so if you watch this video and then you think of a question, maybe you don't have permission to access the cloud. How do you get permission to access the cloud if you're an owner, if you're a manager? Let us know, let the help desk know, let the education team know, and we can help set you up. So if you're watching this video after the fact, go ahead and reach out to us. Send an email to our care team, to our education team, to our help desk. We are available. You can even reach out to us on social media. So if you ask us a question on our Facebook page, we will get back to you. Something that one of our customers asked is our help desk still available? Yes. The help desk is still here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Since we have customers all over the country and all around the world, we have to stay open even if you can't currently be open right now. So don't hesitate to reach out to us, ask us any questions, and we will get back to you. So I hope this emergency classroom session on the cloud has been handy. Let us know how we can help you. Let us know if you have any other topics that you'd like us to talk about on the next classroom session. We will be doubling them up over the next couple of weeks. So instead of just Tuesday, we'll be doing Tuesday, Thursday classroom sessions to help make sure that your business continues to run, or what steps you need to do to make sure that you're able to move forward from any temporary closures. So thank you for your time, and I look forward to seeing you on the next presentation. Have a good day.